Hello, Roomies. Welcome back. I'm Maria. This is Lindsay.
Hello.
We are real life former college roommates who both love movies. Lindsay has a degree in film, and I reviewed movies for like 20 years before the pandemic. And so we're going over movies that the other has missed, right?
Yes.
So this week I chose What Lies Beneath for Lindsay to watch. I this like doing this whole podcast, I've really come to figure out that I'm a horror movie girl. I like spooky stuff a lot more than I realized I did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this movie is from 2000, so we get kind of a nostalgic time leap, right? Especially looking at the technology in this movie.
Man. That cell phone sent me.
The computer was like, was it Windows
Oh my,
95 or something?
yes.
Windows
With
97,
dial
yeah.
up. Oh my
Oh my goodness. Just the graphics on it. Anyway, but like
God.
um it's a film by Robert Zemeckis, who's a pretty well-known director. He did, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Death Becomes Her, Romancing the Stone, Forrest Gump, The Polar Express, Welcome to Marwen, which I was probably the only person who saw that.
I've never even heard of it.
Don't worry about it. But yes, so he's pretty well known for his works. This is one of his earlier films, though, and it stars Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very horny movie, more than I remembered. I was like, oh, okay, okay, all right. I did not
Right.
remember all of these scenes, but okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess that was the other selling point besides the horror. The only thing is like they're always attempting to get it on, but they never do. So something
Right.
always interrupts.
Right. And I can see Harrison Ford being a heartthrob in his day.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm sure
And
that was
Michelle
a
Pfeiffer
great
is
selling point.
gorgeous. So
Oh, forever gorgeous.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? Yeah, she looked great in this movie. So
yeah.
they
I
they
get
did
it.
a good pairing.
Hot couple for sure.
Hmm.
And believable, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a very one of the things I like about this movie is a lot of it is very quiet, right?
Hmm.
And you have a lot the aesthetic is very much like very preppy East Coast elite, right?
Yes.
So just kind of like all of the waspy things like you've ever seen, it seems like it's in Maine, but it makes me think of Connecticut. Just
Hmm.
kind of like a Connecticut style to me.
Yeah.
And you don't see a lot of like horror movies happening in that kind of setting, right?
Mm. Well, Stephen King likes to put his stuff up there.
Oh, well, yes, Stephen King does love Maine.
Yeah.
But I mean like this particular aesthetic of like the whole preppiness, college, East Coast kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, Instead of like that more small town Maine,
Yeah.
close neighborhood kind of thing, right?
Okay. I see where you're going. Yeah.
Like they definitely shop at Nordstrom's all the time. Um, but yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of like it's a supernatural horror thriller kind of thing. And one of the things I like about it is it leads you into so many different things that when the truth comes out, you're like, it's very much twist you, you know.
Hmm.
You're thinking one thing like, is the wife really just like losing it? Like, are they really haunted? Like, what's going on with the neighbor? And then when it's revealed, it's like, oh, okay. I
Yeah.
wish we had more actually. That's which is a good complaint. Uh, but yeah, so 2000 film. Michelle Pfeiffer is a very small cast actually. Most of the time, it's just Michelle Pfeiffer and
Yeah.
Harrison Ford. You do see like her friend come in a few scenes. And I feel like some of her scenes must have gotten cut because there had to be some more with her. I feel
Yeah.
like.
Right. Because she was
Um,
like almost not needed.
Right. So that's Jodie, played by Diane Scarwid.
Hmm.
And we have Miranda Otto as Mary Fuhr. And I've seen Miranda Otto in so many other things. I forgot she was in this. I was like, oh yes, I've seen her before.
Hmm.
And I don't know, did you recognize her?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay. So let me see here. So she's been in a lot of different things. So What Lies Beneath, of course, 2000. So that's where we first saw her. But yes, The Lord of the Rings to Two Towers. She played she oh yes, I can't remember the name of her character, but her character was actually the one on the battlefield, and she kills she kills, oh, is it Saruman? Not Saruman, but oh gosh, folks are gonna kill me. But yeah, she kills the main bad guy, and he's like, I can't be killed by a man, and she takes off her hood and she says, I am no man, and she kills him. It's great.
Oh, okay. I have not seen Lord of the
You've
Rings.
not seen North? Oh, well, I
Mm-mm.
know what we're doing next.
Yeah, yeah, I have not. I know.
Lord of the Rings, girl.
Nothing about it appealed to me.
Yeah, it is pretty specific. I can understand.
Yeah.
I did try to like read the book
Hmm.
many, many years before it came out, and the style's not for me. The like
Yeah.
J.R.R. Tolkien is very detailed, which can be great, but then there are times where he'll go on about a forest and a leaf for like a page and a half, and I just
Oh, yeah.
so
Yeah.
the movies are better with that kind of thing because of course you can just show the detail instead
Right,
of
right,
having to talk
right.
about it. But we're gonna do those. We're gonna do all three.
There's three. I thought it
There's
would be
three.
like as many as what Harry Potter's.
Seven? No, no, it's all
Yeah.
three. Well, there are prequels, but we're just gonna do the LTR.
Okay.
So that way that won't take up like 6 weeks.
Yeah. Right.
Unless you want to watch all three at once. That's a commitment.
We have done that
We
before.
have.
If we do that, we're gonna have to wait a couple months for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a commitment for sure.
Yeah.
So What Lies Beneath, again takes place in Maine. It's this it's Michelle Pfeiffer and here. I'm just gonna call them by their names. No, Michelle, Michelle and Harrison are a married couple, hot married couple, and Michelle has a daughter who's like 18. She's going off to college, right? And
Hmm.
so they're very close. And she's at first she's like, I'm not gonna have a problem, dropping you off. I'm gonna be cool, or whatever. And then she gives her a hug and she won't let go. And we transition immediately to the dorm where she's still hugging her. And I love that transition
Hmm.
as if she just hugged her the entire way there.
Right, right, right.
It's so cute. And it's so 90s, 2000s, like the whole dorm and like the things the kids are wearing and the
Hmm.
music that's playing. I was like, oh yeah, I know that
Yeah.
feeling. Hmm.
Yeah. And it is pretty realistic,
Yeah. Yeah.
as far as like taking the kid to school and not wanting to let them go and all
Mhm.
that. Because I kind of went through that. So
Mhm, mhm. Me
so
too. Only it wasn't as dramatic for me because I live here in the same city. So
right. Yeah,
yeah,
my mom was in a whole different time
what
zone.
was that like?
Oh my God. Do you know that leading up to me leaving, like that summer, I was just like, I'm ready to get away from y'all. Y'all are crazy. Like they thought I was playing, but I was dead ass, right? So
They didn't think you were gonna go.
no, no, no. They thought I was playing when I told them they was crazy and I'm ready to
Oh,
get away from them.
oh.
Because I say stuff in a humorous way, but I'd be
Mhm,
serious. So yeah, so we leave, go down to Georgia, and I'm fine the whole weekend. And then the last moment that I was with them, because my mom and my grandma, not my grandma, my mom and my godmom dropped me off in Georgia. And I had a cousin that lived in Georgia too, and we all went to Houston's.
mm.
And after Houston's, my cousin was taking them to the airport because I had to go back to the dorm for a dorm meeting. In the parking lot, when I tell you I cried like a
Oh,
baby,
it just
I
hit you.
yeah, it just hit me. My mama and my godmama was crying. Everybody was crying. But I didn't want to let my mama go.
Oh.
Oh, who, and me and my mama, we good, but we ain't close like that for me to be like very clingy or nothing like that. So
Mhm.
that shocked everybody, you know.
No.
Yeah. And then after that, I was fine. But when my mama got home, she called me that night and she was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Are you okay?" She was like, "No."
Oh, mom. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
sweet.
So, and I'm her oldest too, so it was
Oh,
a
that was her first.
yeah, it was a mess. And on top
Oh.
of that, because like my mom was a college graduate too, but she didn't leave, you know.
Mhm, mhm,
So it was all of us that, and then my godmom's kids didn't go to college, so this was new to everybody, you know.
mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, it was a
Yeah,
mess.
yeah. And my only possible relating is like going to overnight summer camp.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. I was crying. I was like, "You gotta let me call them. Like, I want to go home." Oh man.
Right, right.
And but then when my parents picked me up, I was like, "Could I stay longer?"
Like, did y'all have to come now?
Like
Right?
I had to, I ended up having, a good time eventually, but oh man, that was hard. But
Hmm.
yeah, so it's really sweet. And but now she's like, ready to see what her life is going to be like without having to worry about her child all the time, while they're at college and everything. And, her apparently she was in like some bad accident, right? Some months ago, or we're not quite sure. We don't really get the details too much about this accident, other
Hmm.
than she was going like 80 miles per hour and wrapped her car around a tree.
Right. Which is wild that she's normal now,
Right.
or presumably normal,
Right.
physically normal, you know.
Yeah. I think it's been like a year or so, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the anniversary.
Yeah. And everybody will keep asking her like, "How are you? Are you okay?" And it seems like they're waiting for her to say something,
Hmm.
but she never does, and so they almost don't believe that she's okay. So it seems like they know something that they're not telling her.
Hmm.
But she insists, she's okay. She's okay. She's fine. You know. And apparently, before she had gotten married, she was a cellist, right, in this
Hmm.
group, and they played. Because you see her go down to the basement, and she's looking at this photo album, and you see these pictures of her before they were married, where she was traveling the world. They played in Carnegie Hall, and
Hmm.
everything. And then also, she had a previous marriage, which is where her daughter's from. She's going through those pictures and just reminiscing and stuff, and some news articles fall out, but she doesn't really we don't really get to see too much of them, but it's very shocking to her. Like it's like you can see something is like shaking her up about seeing these
Yeah.
news articles. So it's just like, what is going on? Like what is wrong,
Hmm.
right? We're both in the dark,
Yeah.
um, Mary and us, right? Mary is the character's name. So, well, I know, I'm sorry, Claire. What am I talking about?
Yes.
Mary and Warren are the neighbors. So Mary and Warren next door. I guess this is like an academic neighborhood where all of the professors move into or something.
Yeah, it's like a small college town.
Yeah.
So,
But these are mansions. These people live
yeah. Yeah.
like, I don't even know why we would have a mansion this big for just the two of us. This is wild, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, so these neighbors are like having arguments in the front lawn and everything. And it's not quite sure what it's about. But apparently it's been repeated behavior, and it looks pretty physical sometimes, like,
Hmm.
but we're not sure what they're arguing about. But Claire, I guess, is just so bored now without her daughter around, and she's no longer playing cello, that all she does is watch the neighbors, and she even gets binoculars to like see what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
She
was
was
like,
nosy.
girl, cal-
Yeah.
like relax. Um, and then like there's a night where they're make Claire yeah, Claire is making out with her husband, and they're about to get down or whatever, and they hear the neighbors across the street like being very loudly romantic, right?
Okay.
I was like,
They were
oh
having,
my
yeah,
god, like the whole neighborhood can hear you,
yeah, but the
you know
neighborhood is just them too.
right? It's true. uh but Claire is like, and because her husband gets up to close the window, she's like, no, leave it open, and
Mhm.
he does, and then he opens up another window. uh And I was like, "Okay, y'all, like, ugh, all right." She's like, "We."
Yeah,
They were like, "We can outdo them." I was like, "Okay, okay."
right. So now it's a competition on
Right,
who can be the loudest.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
Um, but they never really get into it. So every time they try to have like sexy times, something happens. You know,
Yeah. Well, I
something
think they did have sexy time then. We just
faded
didn't see
black.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, which is but there have been some things like happening around the house that's spooking Claire. So like there have been several times where she comes to the front door and it's open, or
Just
it
why?
opens for her
Yeah.
before she can even touch it.
Yeah. See, that would have me paranoid as shit.
Yes.
You know, that is not cool. Just the door wide open. You don't
What?
hear it open. There's no rhyme or reason why it's open. You swore you locked it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would.
because she
Yeah.
pushes it up and locks it. She's like,
Yeah.
and I was like, the only thing is like she never mentions this particular thing to anybody. And I was like, that would be my very first thing. Are you kidding me?
Right. Right. Because mind you, this house is like being like it's almost
Renovated.
completely renovated. Right.
Mhm.
So you don't know what the heck going on with that house. And then the house is probably at least 100 years old.
Mhm.
So
Because it
yeah,
apparently belonged to his father,
right. Right.
Dr. Norman Spencer.
So yeah, you don't know what's going on with this house. So any weird things, yeah, we getting that fixed. If I gotta get a double side deadbolt,
Hello.
if I gotta get a key or a chain or something, we gonna
Fingerprint entrance, whatever.
something. But we gonna figure this out because ain't nobody just about to be walking up in my house all willy nilly.
No. And
Mm-mm.
even if nobody's doing that, let's just keep the door locked and closed.
Okay,
Like we're gonna get some extra locks in here, something.
something,
One of those bars that make it impossible for the door to open, something.
something. Right. Get one of them wood bars that come down like
Yes.
old school, like something.
Like old school.
Yeah.
Yes. So also there's like a photo of her and her husband and a few other people at some kind of award ceremony for Dr. Spencer, and it keeps falling off the table where it's at, and the glass will break.
Mm-hmm.
And so this happens once after she closes the door. And it's like all of the jump scares to me actually got me, which is unusual. Jump scares that usually are like too telegraphed,
Mm-hmm.
but these weren't as telegraphed as usual. So I was actually like, whoa, okay. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause
um,
these are pretty creepy jump scares.
yeah. Cause like you're concentrating on her closing the door and then the glass breaks and you're like, wait a minute, what? Like, what's going on?
Hmm. Right. Instead of just somebody appearing,
Right, right.
just for a cheap jump scare. Like these was like, okay, I'm trying to make sense out of this. Like, is that the wind from when I closed the door or what? Like this has to logically make sense.
Right. Was it a vibration? Because I'm home alone.
Right. Right. At least I think I am.
Right. And so she eventually replaces the glass and everything. But it happens again almost immediately.
Hmm.
And there's like a backing of newspaper in it. And part of the newspaper is talking about Dr. Norman Spencer, right? And his celebration or whatever. And
Hmm.
then in the corner, there's an article about a missing girl, right? Um, kind of getting ahead of myself there, but that comes up. So,
Yeah.
also another thing that's happening that's creepy is the bathroom keeps filling itself up with water. The bathtub is full of water and steamy, right?
Yeah.
Like full of hot water.
Yeah. And this is a nice size tub.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very much, for people to really actually soak in.
Hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful bathroom, right?
Yeah, what I noticed about the bathroom is that the ceilings were very high. I'm like,
Very
that's
high.
not normal.
Yeah. Very
So,
high ceilings.
yeah.
To make, I guess, just to make the room feel so large.
Hmm.
Um, but yes, so the steaming under the door. She goes into the bathroom and she's scared, right? Because of all these things that are happening. But she's gonna unplug, and let the water drain. And so she does that, and she looks across, and there's a woman who looks drowned, but similar to her with green eyes, like in the
Hmm.
reflection of the water. And of course, she starts screaming and turning around. There's nobody there.
Right.
And so, she's getting afraid and she's telling her husband about these things. And, they're like, he's just kind of like, what, like, no, kind of dismissive, right?
Hmm.
But it's after this she starts like really stalking the neighbors.
Yeah.
So, she's been looking at them through binoculars and she continues to do that. And like she keeps going over trying to give them a welcome basket. And on her second attempt, she just leaves it there. And because she's actually like looking in the windows to see if anybody's there because nobody's responding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she sees like the car in the driveway while she's been snooping around. So she's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
now I have to leave without them knowing I'm snooping around.
Right, right.
So she leaves the basket there, and but she's caught by the husband, and she's asking about the wife, and he's very cagey about it,
Mm-hmm.
kind of suspicious. Uh, and so she goes back home and like is watching him with binoculars, right? And he's eating alone because his wife's not there. And he gets the basket. He throws the flowers out into the front yard. I was like, why would you do that? Like,
Yeah. That was
okay,
pretty dramatic.
right. For who? Like, you know.
Right.
But there's a bottle of wine in the basket, so he drinks that. And she's just
Yeah.
watching
And he
him.
throws the basket. It's
He throws
like,
back like what?
yeah. Like
Okay.
you can't repurpose it? Like I don't understand.
You
Like
can have a whole toilet tissue. What do you want? Like why are you so angry?
right. Like eh.
but you know, but a little bit before this, she actually ran to the wife, right?
Mhm.
Because like her and the wife seem to have mirroring experiences. Like the neighbor couple are volatile, right? And
Mhm.
then Claire and her husband, Dr. Norman Spencer, they're having their little troubles too, but they seem to have some mirroring things. So, like, she'll be crying, the neighbor will be crying, things like that. So, she actually hears the neighbor crying in the backyard while she's out there crying in the backyard,
Mhm.
and she's trying to talk to her, but she can't even really see her because of this fence. And so she's looking through like this little hole in the fence, and then the neighbor's eye is like right there in the fence. And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa,
That
okay.
was pretty
Yeah.
yeah, that was
And
pretty
she's trying to talk to her, but this neighbor is not really making sense. And she's kind of like
mhm.
running around the backyard so she can't be seen, basically.
Yeah.
So it's very weird. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's when she decides she's gonna do the basket thing again. And so she did the basket thing. Now she's watching him with the binoculars, and he's going from room to room. He kind of disappears. She looks back. There he is, like almost looks like he's staring directly at her. Although there's no way he could have seen her. It looks like he's staring directly at her, but it's so creepy. Woo,
Mhm. Right. Shot
And
her.
yeah. And then later that night, I don't know if she was sleeping at all. She was just watching him all night, maybe.
Yeah, she got a bit obsessive.
Yeah, she did. Because like once she gets spooked by that, she looks back and he's gone, and she's trying to figure out where he went. And it looks like he may have come to her house, but really it was her husband. And
Mhm.
so she turns around and her husband is just right there standing there in silence for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird.
Be less of a creep, husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
But yeah.
geez, did you just watch me get scared and just decided you
Right,
would
the whole
add to it? Like
time.
I do.
Right, right.
So, but later that night, she's still watching, and the husband comes out with what looks like a body in a bag, like really does,
Yeah.
and puts it in his trunk and drives off. And so she wakes up her husband to come see what's going on. Of course, he doesn't see anything,
Mhm.
whatever.
I would have been so pissed if I was him. If I was the
Oh, the
husband.
husband? Yeah, I saw you
Yeah.
tweet that.
Yeah, I would have been so pissed because don't startle me out of my sleep,
She
especially
tried.
for
She tried.
nothing.
She called him a few times quietly. He did not respond.
Yeah, but what you want me to do?
She wants
Like
you to
in this
see it.
in
She wants you to get
why?
just as obsessed as she needs a witness, you know.
I'm not a witness to nothing. I am
No.
James Brown to the shit. Or
Oh
not James
wow.
Brown, but Stevie Wonder to the shit.
Oh, okay.
I, I don't see it. I don't see nothing. I'm not gonna be a witness for anything,
Oh no.
anything, anything. And
So
then he
now
got this big old research that he
mm,
needs funding for. He got to do this
mhm.
big old paper. He has to do this proposal. He has to go out of town. He has to be on his A game.
Yeah,
And
he's
you are
constantly out of the house in the city working on this.
yes, and you are bothering me with some stuff that doesn't make any sense and got nothing to do with me. you're not in immediate danger. You're not in danger remotely.
At all, actually.
Like, right. So, girl, let me sleep. So, I would have been
Yes.
mad.
Yes, he Dr. Norman Spencer is working on this drug, I guess, basically, and they're testing it on mice, and they figured out that this inhalant, you smell it, like can make you gosh, what is the word? Can
Mm,
paralyze you
yeah.
for like 5 to 10 minutes or so, and it'll paralyze you completely, but you'll still be aware of what's happening. And
Hmm.
I'm like, what is the purpose of this drug? Like, what are we?
I didn't get the what you would use it for in a
Why
good
would we
way.
want this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
I
didn't.
was like, okay,
Right. Because anything that I need to be paralyzed for, I don't want memories of it.
right. Why do you need to? Huh? Right.
Yeah.
So no thanks.
Right.
So, but he's working. He's in the lab working on this, with a team of people, because he's a geneticist, and like they're trying to do something, remarkable, and he wants to be famous for making changes in science.
Hmm.
Um, and it's kind of giving like he's really wants more of the fame side of things than
Hmm.
really he loves the science side of, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Hmm.
seemed like he just want to be a famous scientist.
Yeah.
So they're doing that, and she's calling him about the things she's seeing and hearing and stuff like that. And he is getting annoyed with her and like is telling her these things aren't happening, basically. And uh, she at one point, she at one point, they go out to dinner like with a couple of friends of his, right?
Hmm.
And he actually tells them that she's hearing voices.
Yeah.
And I was
I didn't
like,
understand what the point was to blast your wife like
why
that.
would you do that?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, he doesn't like her. Because why would you do
A
that?
little bit. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. Because
Because
I
even
didn't.
she looks at him like, why did you say that?
Right. Or maybe he's wanting validation that she's crazy.
But but the thing is, like, while he has been saying like these things aren't happening, he hasn't been like mean to her about it either, right? He's like,
Mm.
let's get you some help, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And she's sensitive about this, right? And she even feels like something is wrong. Why
Hmm.
would you bring that up to somebody else like this?
Right.
You
Right. It
know,
was weird.
but it backfires because the wife of the couple they're on this dinner date with is like, oh, I believe in all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And so I wish we had more with those two, right?
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, I believe in all that stuff. She's like, tell me more. Like, you have to find out what she wants. She's like, try to give her
Mhm.
advice about this. And you should like hold a seance or whatever, right? You need to communicate with her, is what she said. And I was like, no,
Right.
no,
Right. Like the opposite of that.
actually, no.
Yeah.
Maybe no, maybe
You're
not.
right.
You don't know what or who you're communicating with, girl.
At all. You don't know what you're inviting into your house when you do
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah.
So she gets together with her friend, Judy, who had also given her like this. She gets together with her friend Judy first because she goes and buys a Ouija board, and so they're
Hmm.
doing the whole Ouija thing, and Judy's like laughing the whole time, and I don't blame her.
Right. She
It's
just playing along. That's
You're
okay.
right. She's like,
Playing
okay,
along.
girl, like whatever it would take to give you some peace about the situation, right?
Hmm.
And she's not invalidating her or anything. She's actually really great.
Hmm.
Even though she's like, I don't know, I don't think it's gonna work. Like, you know.
Hmm.
So
Not to
they
mention
try.
she's going to therapy.
Yes, she's going
Yeah.
to therapy. Her therapist is Joe Morton,
Hmm. Papa Pope.
Papa Pope. Yes,
Hmm.
and he's kind of like doubtful of her too. But he wants to hear her out, right?
Yeah.
And he wants to try to help. But he's also thinking like this is something psychological going on with her. But of course he would, because he's a therapist. You
Yeah.
know.
Right. Right.
Um, so that's happening too. They have this Ouija thing, and at first nothing's happening for a long time, and
Hmm.
then it moves a little bit, but nothing really, nothing, right? And so Judy leaves, and I can't remember how, but she's like she's around the house, and we see like the computer turn on behind her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the computer is sending her a message.
Hmm. But she doesn't know that at first because she's looking around for something else, and she comes back, and it's like on this game screen. You know how
Yeah.
like how you would win a game in the arcade and you put in your initials?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of screen it's on. And the
Yeah.
initials MEF keep coming up over and over and over and over and over.
Right. Right.
And so she believes this is the ghost of her neighbor because she thinks her neighbor has killed his wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the neighbor's name is Mary Floor. Now she doesn't know the neighbor's middle name,
Mm-hmm.
but things are like putting together for her, and she's like, "Oh, this is Mary's ghost. She, her husband killed her, and she wants me to, tell the world, basically."
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to some academic event with her husband, and at the end, the neighbor is there as well, and she just outright accuses him of killing his wife. I was like, "Oh, girl, you look real crazy
Right.
now."
Extremely. Not to mention, she looked like she ain't slept in about 3-4 days.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like she looks like she's a mental patient, and she just cussed him out in front of everybody.
Uh-huh. And then his wife came up like, "What do you mean?
Right?
Hi, I'm
Like,
his wife.
I'm here.
I'm alive."
Right? Even the neighbor was like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. I'm really surprised the husband Warren didn't get more upset, actually.
You know, I was shocked on that too. I was shocked
Mhm.
on that too. But he was a good sport about it.
Yeah, which was because he didn't seem like somebody who would be that before. But anyway,
Yeah. But
um,
to that point, it kind of goes along with the person that was described. Because remember the Dr. Spencer, he asked around about him, about his neighbor,
yes,
because they're colleagues. So with him asking about him, he heard that he was pretty much harmless.
right. That's what he heard.
Yeah,
But what we see is like, I don't know about that.
you're right, right.
But you're
You
right.
heard what you
So
saw was contradicting, but the way that
yeah.
he handled Claire, it makes sense.
Mm. And so, she also is trying to, after this seance, trying to still kind of like things are still happening, right?
Hmm.
So like the bathtub is still filling with water. She's still draining the
Yeah.
bathtub. And she at one point just like asks, "What do you want?" Or "Who are
Hmm.
you?" or something like that.
Yeah.
And then in the mirror, you get the words, "You know."
Hmm.
And I was like, that is creepy. That is
Yeah.
really creepy. I love that.
Hmm.
That was like, that would absolutely freak me out.
Oh, absolutely. I would have already been freaked out with the bathtub.
Yeah.
I probably would have been like, "You got to sell this house. I'm not living there."
You're right.
I'm,
Like, you know what? I'm done.
I'm done. 1, 2, 3. That's enough. So,
Yeah. So that was really creepy. And apparently you can see the ghost right before that.
hmm,
Um, but I didn't. So which is fine. Didn't need to.
yeah, yeah. I
um,
because that's our in the reflection of the
mhm.
water a couple of times.
Yes.
You saw her in the water at the lake.
Hmm.
You
Oh
know, so
yes, I forgot about that part. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, there's one point earlier in the movie where uh Claire is with her dog, and they're going down by the lake. She throws the ball in the lake because it's the dog's favorite ball, right?
Hmm.
And the dog is like, "Nope, I am not.
Absolutely not.
No, mm-mm."
Mm-mm. He barely was on the deck.
But yeah,
Like,
he was like, "Nah,
barely.
no, I'm not
Right.
crossing this
It's
water.
like you take your goofy ass down there if you want to. I ain't got time.
Bring my ball back because I'm not doing
Right.
it. You get
Right.
somebody else to do it." You know.
Okay.
And so like, she gets this like, handler thing to try and get the ball back, and she sees this face under the water. And it's kind of hard to tell through the features like who or what you're looking at, but it's very clearly like somebody's under the water.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Yeah. It is just like a bunch of creepy things happening. And you're like, is she crazy? Is she actually
Mhm.
being haunted? Is it the neighbor? Okay, it's not the neighbor because like the wife says she actually went to go stay with her mother for a few days. But even like the neighbor's excuse as to why she was like running around the backyard didn't make any sense to me.
Mhm.
She was like, you just love somebody so much and you just can't be without them and you can't breathe. I was like, girl, what?
None of that makes sense.
Like, are
I
you
just was
okay?
like, okay, girl, all right.
Whatever. If you like it, I love
Yeah,
it, I guess.
right.
Like,
Like, just like I can. Yeah.
and I was like, all right, girl. Sure. Okay.
Right.
Well, you're alive. That's really the important part, I suppose.
Right.
So, these things are keep happening and she eventually like comes back to that article that we saw that was on the back of the photo, and it's the girl's name is Mary Elizabeth, right?
Mhm.
And so she eventually finds out who the girl is. Oh, it's Madison Elizabeth, excuse me, Madison Elizabeth. So many N names.
Yeah.
Madison Elizabeth, and she figures out Madison Elizabeth Frank, right?
Mhm.
And that was the girl who had been missing. And she actually finds her mother and like goes to their house and is like, "Oh, I met Madison at a party or whatever." And the mother is like, "Well, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
But the mother lets her in anyway and like shows her like Madison's room and everything and like some of the
Yeah.
pictures.
None
And
of that was okay.
I was like, why are you
None
here?
of
But
that was
why are you? I don't know you. Why are you here?
right. Right. Because I think I tweeted that. I was like, you gotta tell me what you want from the porch. Like, you're not coming in.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
We can talk outside. Like,
right. I don't know you, lady, and you don't even know why you here, or at least you don't want to tell me why you here.
oh, you didn't even
You
come up with
couldn't
a
even,
story.
right?
Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like, you couldn't even come up with an excuse
I'm
on why
doing
you
a profile on women missing in the area, and
right,
whatever.
right. Like
So
nothing. All right.
yes, so we get to Madison's room and we see the pictures of her, and Madison does look a lot like her, but with green eyes. And a part of the things that they've kept, basically for the shrine to their daughter, is a lock of her hair, and she steals it. It's so crazy to me. It's so crazy.
Of all things to steal. Yeah.
Well, she steals it because Judy had given her this book of like, I don't know, man. It looked like some kind of like 15th
Witchcraft.
century. Like it wasn't even like a copy. It was like, girl, where did you get this?
Right.
But it's like some kind of spell book, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Some book with a supernatural, whatever. And so it has a spell in there for communicating with the dead and you need a part of them, I guess, to do
Mm.
it. So she steals the lock of hair. And I was just like, wow, that's so when her mom comes back and see that's gone.
Yeah. Like, but again, the mom don't know who the hell this lady is, and you just allow
No.
her in your house, allowed her in your missing daughter's room, your
And left
missing
her.
daughter for
Yeah.
a year, and you let her roam around by herself. So that's on you. Whatever she take, that's on you, lady.
Yeah. It was very strange. And she
Yeah.
also like notices Madison's wearing this very unique necklace, right? In a lot of her photos. Because the necklace had been cut off in some of the photos she saw earlier in the newspapers, but when she sees it at the house, you can see like the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So she sees those and then she's got the hair and everything. And also another thing is like she's taking this bath, right? And well, actually that comes later, sorry. But she gets the hair, she opens the book, and she's trying to conjure Madison, and it seems like she's been possessed, you know? Because like
Mm-hmm.
after the ritual, Dr. Norman Spencer comes home and he's opening the fridge, and I was actually watching this reaction to this scene last night, and the guy's like, if she's behind the door when he closes the fridge, she's possessed. And so he closes the door, and she is definitely possessed, right?
Is right there,
We don't
right,
quite know that yet,
right.
um, but you can figure it out, right?
Yeah,
So
you catch on pretty quickly.
yeah. So she's like being very aggressive with him sexually, like, grabs the fruit out of his hands, like forbidden fruit or whatever, and like leads him to the stairs and is like opening her legs and saying these things that don't go with her character.
Mhm.
Um, and then also her eyes appear to be green,
Mhm.
like electric green,
Mhm.
you know. And but for some reason he's totally going along with it. And
Yeah.
I feel like you ought to know some of these things she's saying to you.
I mean, I feel like he knew that it was different,
Yeah.
but he was going along with it because he liked it.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's a scene earlier where they're about to be intimate again. But before that, they're talking about some achievement he did. And she's like, "You're such a genius," blah blah blah. And so they're about to get intimate. He's like, uh, "More genius talk or whatever." I was like, oh, "Okay, all right,
Weird. Yeah.
yeah, compliment me."
Right.
you know. So he's got that ego.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the whole thing with him, wanting to do this to be famous, ego, the whole thing with him, like going along with what she's doing, even though it seems like way, way out of character,
Mhm.
ego. Even for role play, it seems like way out of character. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Because she was very aggressive.
Yeah. Because like some of the phrases she's using and stuff like that is like just not how this person would speak.
Right. Right. But apparently, that's probably something that he liked from someone else.
And yes, exactly. I was like, he should be recognizing the way she's speaking
Yeah.
as not her, as someone else, right?
Mhm.
And so he eventually gets shocked enough that he like pushes her off of him because her eyes like flash green and
Mhm.
she drops a lock of hair and she's more of herself, right?
Yeah.
And then she starts, I guess because he kind of like her head kind of got knocked, maybe. It kind of unlocks this repressed memory about, her coming home and finding this girl that he had been having an affair with, in the house and everything. And he was like, "Well, it was a rough patch," like.
Mhm. Yeah, it starts all coming out. So then that along with when they were at the party and the party host wife talking to her,
Mhm.
um like there's a couple things that are unlocking these memories that were very very much so suppressed. So
Yes.
all coming together now. The whole wreck and everything, like they're all tying together now.
Yeah, and not only were they suppressed, but also the trauma from the car accident because it was
Mhm.
so bad, definitely would have messed with her memories around the accident. That's
Right.
very common. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so she's finding this out, and also the husband has well, you have to talk about it like this. So she came home one day and the husband is in the bathtub, unconscious, with a hair dryer in the tub, like he's been electrocuted.
Hmm.
And she's screaming, scared, whatever, because like all these scary things have been happening, right? She calls all the doctors and nurses, they come by, nothing is wrong. Everything is normal.
Right.
you know, and they're still like, well, we would like you to get this workup or whatever. Da, da, da. He's like, no, 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 I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I'm just, unless they have a drug against clumsiness, I'm fine. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
now she's all sympathetic to him and thinking
Hmm.
like maybe he's in danger as well. Right.
Hmm.
So, that's another thing to make her want to. I don't think he really calculated that well because now she's even more interested in trying to communicate with this ghost, and because now it's hurting her husband, right?
Right. Right. Mind you, this is after he confesses to the whole affair
Yeah, he
with the
confessed.
missing lady, and
Mm-hmm.
she left that night.
Because she was like,
So,
"Did you have something to do with her disappearance?" And he was like, "Yes." I was like, "What?
mm,
Okay."
yeah.
But he admits the whole affair. That she was gonna
Mhm.
kill herself because he wouldn't leave her
Yeah.
to be with Madison.
She
Whatever.
wanted to kill you.
Yeah,
So yeah.
very very dramatic, and she was crazy, and actually she had come in here and taken pills, and I found her. I just
Sure.
found her like that.
Mhm.
Mhm. And so, I put her in her I took her in her car and I drove them into the lake.
Mhm.
And the he says it was an accident. He didn't mean to. I was like, "No, that was very thorough, actually. What do you
Yeah,
mean?"
right. Like, you don't accidentally drive somebody into the lake, like, and you're okay. You didn't speak of this. Nothing. Like, there's
Didn't tell
no
anybody.
trace of
Didn't tell
any of
anybody.
this. Yeah.
And if she had come into the home and overdosed, why not call 911?
Yes, that's like the very first thing that you would do.
Because that would be very
That's if you're
provable.
innocent. Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
I'm gonna dispose of her body and get rid of the evidence that she was ever here.
Right.
Really? Okay.
Okay.
So another thing that's happening is this hair, it really is like possessing her, right? So she's out on the dock one night and
Mhm.
Dr. Norman Spencer sees her and she jumps into the water, it looks like. But it really, we see her under the water and she's like being pulled by this hair.
Mhm.
And she
Yeah.
gets,
All the way down to that box.
yes, there's this
Yeah.
box down there, and before she can really get it, he pulls her out of the water.
Mhm.
So after this, the admission of the whole thing with the student and everything, and her recalling her memories, she actually goes over to spend the night with Jody, and Jody tells her, "Well, a year ago, right before your accident, I saw him in this town called Adamant, and he was with this blonde woman, and I didn't really think anything about it because you're also a blonde woman, and." I was walking up to them to say hello, but I noticed they were arguing really aggressively. And that's when she realized that wasn't her, and that was somebody else, and something else was going on here, you know.
Right.
But then Claire had that accident, and she was like, maybe this is not important right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I
Yeah.
totally understand. And like, when is there ever a right time to tell somebody?
Right. Right. Like, especially when somebody has an accident, like
Yeah,
immediately after,
yeah,
you're like, this can wait.
this can wait. And it
Yeah.
seems like they're doing okay now. So
So I'm gonna leave
she
this
keeps
alone.
saying she's okay. So
Right. Right. And I mean, that's a tricky position for a friend to be
yeah,
in.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because more often than not, the friendship was dead before the relationship.
yep, yep.
So
Hmm.
yeah, so I get it.
Yeah. So, Claire goes back home, and that's when she actually finds him in the tub and everything, right? So, after she pulled the box, well, she didn't get to pull the box out, but like, she decides she's gonna go to the town of Adamant, right?
Mhm.
Because she actually asked Norman, because he's like, we should go away for a weekend or something, get a cabin or to some small town or whatever, and like just kind of chill out, maybe, from all the stuff we're dealing with. And she
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, what about this little town called Adamant? I heard about blah blah blah." And he's like, "I don't know anything about that. Never heard of it."
Sure.
And that's when she really is like, "Oh, he is lying." It's like, "Yeah, girl.
Mhm.
Yeah."
Yeah.
So she decides she's gonna go to Adamant. And she goes and she's just kind of walking around,
Mhm.
and she goes to, there's probably only like one cafe in this town because it sounds like a very small place.
Yeah.
And so she heads there and she sees in the window like the box.
Mhm.
And then she also sees the necklace.
Yep.
And then there's also been this key that she keeps finding, right? Or keeps
Mhm.
finding her. And she sees the key in the box.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, you know,
Mhm.
put things together. So we definitely know they were absolutely here. And
Mhm.
he bought her these things.
Yes.
So, Norman had also burned the hair by now, right? He's
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing with this?" Da, 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 burned it. Like,
Yeah.
all
I
right.
wouldn't have burned it in the house.
Burnt hair
Yeah.
doesn't smell great, for one.
No, it does not. No, it does not. Question. Have you ever heard of the whole saying, like when you're like grooming your hair or whatever, you take like the hair that comes out and you burn it, you just don't throw it away.
No.
Yeah, it's a superstition. I never practiced it, but I have an older sister that her and her family practice that. And that was the first time I ever saw it was when they do it.
That seems like I'd be setting that's a lot of
Mhm.
matches.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, they'll just burn it like in an ashtray. Like it's
oh,
I'm like,
no.
just throw
No. Yeah, no.
it away.
I haven't heard of that one, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just gonna throw it away.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so she goes back home and she goes to the lake and she uh uncovers the box. She actually like sneaks out of bed to do this, right?
Hmm.
She sneaks out of bed and she puts on this big jacket and she gets the box, goes back into the house to open it, and she finds the necklace, right? We see her going through some things, we never see those, but she finds the necklace in the box. And
Hmm.
that's when she knows for sure that he killed her,
Right.
right? So she gets the phone and she's about to dial 911. I think she dials like 9-1, right?
Hmm.
And she's just kind of like looking around for Norman because she hears this squeak or something, right? And he's actually like in the room, like I don't know, like all not behind her, but beside her. And but he's just there all of a sudden, like he's just waiting,
Hmm.
which he does like 3 times in this movie. He's just
Yeah,
there. And ugh, creepy. So
yeah.
you know, he's when that's when he really like confesses most of the things except for actually killing her. He says that she killed herself. I don't believe that for a second.
Mm-mm.
Whatever.
No,
He tells her about how he dumped the car and everything, but it was an accident. Whatever. What?
no, 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 no. And I feel like it's even more evident as the movie progresses that this was clearly not an accident.
No, no.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll call the police and confess and whatever. And she hands him the phone. And I'm like, no, what? Put it on speaker. What do you mean?
Right, right.
Because at first I was like, oh, because I couldn't remember like what the twist was with this one. I remember there was one, and so I was like, he's not talking to anybody, girl. Like, what are you doing?
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. When I saw that part, I was just like, oh, he's just willingly gonna go to jail, but he really wants to keep her.
Yes.
He's doing everything for her. But then I was just like, sure, well, lock his ass up then. Shoot. Uh,
He can go.
he can go immediately.
We can get
I'm
another
here.
scientist in here. It's fine.
Right.
And she feels, she thinks he's really done it, and she feels a little comforted, I guess, and takes a shower or whatever. And uh, she she's clearly like starting to wonder. And she's like, I just want to check, basically. And so
Mm.
she picks up the phone and sees that he had actually dialed 411.
Mm.
And when she looks up, he's directly behind her in the
Hmm.
mirror. And he paralyzes her with that drug he's been working on.
Yeah.
And because she's doing a good job putting up a fight and running away. And because she's
Mm.
like, she does not stop until she can't go anymore.
Right.
And they do this, it's really like scary, like seeing her just like crawling, right? Because first she
Hmm.
loses her legs and she's crawling with both her arms, and then she loses one of her arms, and then her hand stops, and then she's just kind of staring off. And they do this shot where he's standing over her, and the camera is actually under her.
Hmm.
And you see them from underneath. I was like, oh, that's really cool. It's a really cool
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah. It was a really cool shot, but that is low key terrifying to be in that state.
Yeah, because
You
she's
know.
aware of everything that's going on.
Exactly. Exactly.
So he takes her upstairs, and he's basically being horrible to her, talking about how he couldn't have Madison around and she couldn't find out all that stuff. So he puts her in the bathtub and he runs the water and plugs it up so that she'll looks like a suicide that she drowned in the bathtub, right?
Hmm.
He even takes out some pills to make it look like a suicide when the drug starts wearing off a little bit because she can kind of wiggle her toes a little bit.
Hmm.
And he's just Nothing but ego. Like, he calls, her friend, he's like, "We had a bad argument and I'm leaving, and could you check on her in the morning?" Like,
Mhm.
and, like, just lying so easily and
Yeah.
everything. Oh, man.
Yes.
It's
Yeah. Very convincing.
yeah.
It's some BS.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, um, she is just, trying not to die, and her toes are
Right.
wiggling, and she's trying to unplug the stopper, and she can't. And,
Mhm. Yeah. I immediately thought of Uma Thurman and Kill Bill.
yeah, yeah, Quentin Tarantino likes toes.
Mhm.
He does.
Right.
So,
Wiggle your toe. Yeah. That's all I was saying. Wiggle your toe. So.
yes, wiggle your rig though. And let's see, and, Dr. Norman Spencer is like, I don't know, he picks her up for some reason, I can't remember why. Um, and then, he sees that she's got something around her neck,
Mhm.
necklace, and so he looks around, and it's the necklace that was Madison's, right?
Right.
And he drops her back, and she looks like a dead, drowned Madison,
Yeah.
and he freaks out, and
Yeah.
he hits his head and his neck and falls to the floor, and he's a bloody mess,
Mhm.
and it looks like he's dead, but then he comes back up, and it looks like he's gonna go and strangle her, but he goes back down, and, she's still trying desperately to work this plug in that's in the tub, and it's going, and she's got it, like, halfway there almost,
Mhm.
can't get it anymore, but it's the water's going up to her nose, up to her eyes, and
Yeah.
she one of the things that happened was, like, the shower cord, I guess, fell into the tub, and so
Mhm.
she yanks the shower cord, and it helps turn the water off a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's still coming, still she's underwater by now, she's about to float, like, so she can't reach the bottom of the tub. She gives it one more good yank on that bath stopper, and it finally gets free.
Yeah. I was like, that took all her might to do that.
Yes, she fought.
Yeah.
And so he actually, broke a mirror, and, like, you can see, like, bloody handprints and footprints as he left the bathroom. I was like, "Oh my goodness." And so she's able to flop herself out, and stand up a
Mhm.
little bit, and she gets part of that mirror, and excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
She gets the part of the mirror that's left, and she's, like, looking around corners trying to find him and everything, and she sees that he's, uh, unconscious at the bottom of the stairs,
Mhm.
and, she finds it out because she's walking down the stairs backwards because she's expecting him to come forward to her, but she actually steps in some blood, and it's his blood. Now
Mhm.
how he got there to the bottom of the stairs like that is unclear.
He's
Like,
Michael Myers. So.
so she's been trying to, like, get the phone to dial 911, but, um, one of the things that happened was, he had actually picked up the handset that he had used to dial 411 on,
Mhm.
and, it was off the hook, but it was in
Yeah.
his pants, right? Those
Mhm.
carpenter jeans will get you. So
Yeah.
she gets down there towards him, and she realizes where the phone is, and oh my gosh, she's, like, trying to pull out his pants without, like, waking him up, basically. And it's oh my gosh, it's so nerve-wracking to me, so I loved it.
Yeah.
'Cause, it's making this noise, and she's, like, trying to pull it out and wiggling, and, like, he's right there, and then she's also got the part of the mirror in the other hand.
Mhm.
But he jumps, basically, and she screams, you know,
Right.
and knocks a bunch of stuff over, including, like, a cell phone and some keys, and she picks up the cell phone and the keys, running out of the house, and we see his eye open.
Mhm.
He's not dead yet.
No, it's not.
How?
Right. I was like, "Oh, he didn't turn." I really was like, "He didn't turn into Michael Myers."
Yeah.
Like, for
So she runs to a car and tries to open it, but realizes the key she got was to the old truck with the boat.
yeah, with the boat hitch.
It's like, "Whatever will work. Okay, fine." Right.
Right.
So she gets in the old boat in the old truck with the boat, right? And
Mhm.
they have this really I love this shot where she leaves the car and goes to the truck, and it's completely from the, side view mirror, right? So you see her side view the door open, and then we see, like, him getting up in shadow in the house.
Mhm.
And then the door closes and we see her running to the truck.
Yeah.
So we can see that he's gotten up, but she hasn't seen that.
Right.
And it's all in the mirror. I love it. Uh,
Mhm.
very cool. And so she gets in the truck and she's leaving, and we see in like her rear view mirror, we can see like the front door is open.
Mhm.
And then she's still going, and we see another shot in the rear view mirror, and this rocking chair is rocking.
Mhm.
And then in another shot, we see his shoe fall off the back of the truck. I love the way this is
Mhm.
done. So it's so just like creeping terror, right?
Right. Right.
Because we know he's on there. She doesn't know yet.
Right.
And so she continues driving, and she's trying to get to this halfway point on the bridge because that's where she'll get a cell phone signal.
Mhm.
And this cell phone, of course, looks like a brick. I love
Oh, oh, to the technology of 2000.
yes. It's great, And like that would have been like one of the best phones to have at the time,
Yes.
You had
Yes.
that phone cost money, like,
Okay, you was balling if you had that phone.
okay.
Yeah.
So she's set it up on the truck, and she's like trying to get halfway to the bridge to get a signal. And she stops actually when she gets the signal, which why are we stopping? I don't know,
No
but
idea.
we can see, she sees the blood on the tarp over the boat, right?
Mhm.
And she's like going to get the phone to dial 911, and of course she drops it, right? So we know he's back there. She doesn't
Mhm.
quite know what's happening, right?
Mhm.
But she's going to get the phone, right? And she goes and gets the phone, and she's back up and everything, and we can see him like in the back of the truck because he's in the bed now, and it's he's crawling up towards her. She doesn't know he's right there. And then it's kind of dark, and all of a sudden he's like punching through the window,
Yeah.
you know and they start fighting, of course, and everything. And she puts on the gas, and eventually they get into the lake, basically right where
Yeah.
he had dumped the other lady's car, right?
Mhm.
Because like even the description of the spot is right where he dumped her.
Right.
And
Right.
like the pole from the boat like kind of impales the car,
Mhm.
and so it was going to fall like pretty much straight down, and they are directly on top of the wreckage of Madison, where he put her in the lake.
Yeah.
And the pole like scrapes open the top of her roof of her car. I guess it was a soft top, right?
Mhm.
And while the couple's like fighting in the car, because she's because I know I was like, go out the back window, go out the back window. But the moment she tries, he gets her immediately.
Mhm.
He's pinned in the car though, and he can't get out.
Right.
And so he's like choking her and like drowning her, right?
Mhm.
And below we see Madison's corpse float up to the car, and like she turns back into like how she was, young and beautiful, not decomposed. And
Mhm.
she grabs him,
Yes.
and of course he freaks out. And
Right.
then Claire is able to get away.
Mhm.
She grabs him and just kind of holds him there until he's under. And we see her like float off, and like you see the corpse version, and then it's the young version. Is like, ooh, she floats back to her car.
Right. Right. It
All
it
right.
was like she held him long enough for him to pass.
Yes.
Cause you saw, I mean, I don't know if this was CGI or if this was just a ode to his acting skills or what, but you really did see the life come out of his body on that part,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know? So
So,
that was pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we see a scene later where Claire is at a graveyard, snowy graveyard, and she has a rose and she lays it on the grave of Madison.
Hmm.
It's like a thank you. Because really, Madison was a girl's girl.
Yeah. You know, you know, but yeah, so that was what lies beneath.
Yeah.
Lies kind of like a double entendre,
Hmm.
you know?
What lies beneath the surface of the water? What lies beneath somebody's, personality? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, all that stuff.
Right. Right.
What
So
lies beneath the trauma?
yeah. There was a lot of things that lied beneath.
Yes,
You know,
it's true.
his lies on top of lies on top of lies. You know. So yeah.
The lies beneath the lies.
Yeah. So when you first saw this movie, how did you feel? Did you like it or what?
I did. I did. I remember I liked it. I thought it was really creepy ghost story.
Hmm.
Yes. I think probably one of the first ones I saw that was like, "Ooh, this is actually kind of scary."
Hmm. Yeah. Um, for me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was too long. Um, and I watched someone's review on it after watching it,
Mhm,
and they kind of brought up a couple of things that made it make more sense why it was shot the way it was shot,
mhm.
because it was kind of like an ode to Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes, mhm, absolutely.
So yeah, so
I
one,
see, I used to watch Alfred Hitchcock a lot, so that was like, "Oh, yeah, I get it."
Hitchcock present, was it Hitchcock Presents?
Mhm.
Yeah, I used to watch that too. Um, but once that was said, I was like, okay, so I guess that would make more sense why they had the beginning making us think it was like the neighbors, and then they switched it up,
Yeah.
you know.
Because
So I was,
because what movie is that? I can't remember the name of the movie, but there's a whole movie where this guy it's an Alfred Hitchcock movie where he's spying on his neighbors and thinks the they the husband's murdered the wife. It's like yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So once that was said, I was like, okay, I get that. But I just feel like there was like a couple of things that we didn't need. Like we didn't need her backstory. You know, this being her second marriage, how she got this kid that she just took to college. Like we didn't need none of that.
Well, I get the kid going to college part because it's showing her how she feels lonely and like she doesn't know what to do with herself.
But I feel like this story could have been done without her even having a kid.
Maybe, but I think it's an effective device to show how lonely she's feeling without.
But they could have done this simply. We just moved into this house. Like we just renovated it. We just moved here. And this is a new town for her. She doesn't know anybody. She's feeling a bit lonely. Like I would have bought that as well, and it would have saved us some time.
For me, I feel like it's the newness of the loneliness as well, because she spent,
Yeah.
her entire life with this kid, right? And,
Mhm.
they were together after her father passed away for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Um, so, them being that kind of emotional support for each other and then her being gone, I think adds to the heartbreak of the loneliness.
Yeah. And I mean, I get that. I get
Now,
that. And it
did
worked.
we didn't necessarily maybe need the scenes. You could totally do that in like lines like, "Oh, I miss her so much," or something like that.
Or at least start the movie with them dropping her off,
Right, right,
you
exactly.
know.
Yeah.
So, because I just feel like this could have been done in shorter time.
Yeah, yeah. It is like, kind of slow and quiet.
Hmm.
It definitely is the kind of, like, trying to turn up the scale just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think you could shave some time off this film for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, what else? Oh, I also saw that it was like $100 million budget.
$100 million, yep.
I was like, where did $100 million go?
Uh,
Must have been for
Michelle
their
Pfeiffer and
salary.
Harrison Ford.
Right. That's why I'm like, it must have been for their salaries. Cause I'm just like, this ain't $100 million budget.
It's to the actors.
Yeah.
That's one reason why the cast is so small.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got
And that,
these 2
right,
big names.
right. You have two big names and then nobody else
Yeah.
for the most part, you know. Um, I mean, and then you only have like a couple of scenes with Papa Pope.
Yeah.
So and he wasn't getting Papa Pope money back then.
No,
So
he wasn't,
yeah.
unfortunately, but I'm hoping to see more of him anyway. He's so good.
Hmm. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed that we didn't get more of him.
Yeah, same. You
Yeah.
know, um, I like the story in this movie, right?
Hmm.
and like the twists and everything and the odes to Hitchcock.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like it could be definitely better served to, cut some more time here and then maybe give a little bit more to some other things. Like,
Yeah.
how did her husband die?
Yes.
It also
That,
seems like Norman doesn't like her daughter. What is that about? Like,
I didn't take that as Norma didn't like her daughter. I took that as him low key wanting to get with the daughter.
oh, no, 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 because he's like, we got married and everything, and I gave you all this, and then you gave it all to her,
But then
talking about her daughter.
when he was in the bathtub, he was like, or she was in the bathtub, he was said something about we can spend more time together. And I thought that he was talking about the daughter.
No. Mm-mm.
And who was he talking about when he said that?
He was talking about Claire.
Mm. But he was in the process of killing her.
Oh, he was just trying to get at her. I know where you are now. Yeah. No, he was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, then we can spend more time. Not that he wants to be with her, but he's just antagonizing her.
Uh, okay. Yeah, that's what I took it as, him wanting to get with the daughter. I'm like, what?
Nah, because he doesn't like her. You gave it all to her. Like, what? That's my child. What do you mean?
Yeah, you gotta, man, look, these step parents, some of them are trash. Like, uh, yeah, and yeah, that whole dynamic. Because I said that on Twitter too. I was just like, I wonder how her first husband died.
Yeah.
Because that seemed like that was her one true love, and then this pretty well off man wifed you within 3 months.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
wild.
hmm it was like, what is the backstory with this? Because that's not necessarily normal. Because you're not talking about somebody that just looked crazy, or is a big time nerd or something like that. Like, this is a successful um, professor. 'Cause I think he was teaching back then, and on top of that, he's handsome.
Why are we
So,
slandering nerds? What's happening?
oh no, I don't mean nerd like that, but like somebody socially awkward or something like that,
Oh,
and
okay.
gets the pretty girl just off of a fluke.
Well, a
That's
lot
not
of
him.
times in real life, people who are manipulative, they'll love bomb you, right? So they'll just hit you with all these things that you just absolutely love, if it's gifts or words or whatever, and it's, to get you with them.
Yeah, but that's not how I perceived him, because like I said, we're not talking about somebody that's like socially awkward and just got the
But you
pretty
don't have
girl
to
off
be
of a
socially
fluke.
awkward. There are lots of charming psychopaths.
But I'm saying it's not like he got it's not like this person is out of his league and he just got her off of a fluke.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of in the same league.
Uh-huh.
So, and I'm assuming, because we're talking about a handsome man, that he don't have a problem with getting women. So why would he wife her within 3 months?
He wanted that perfect family, remember?
But I get one the perfect family, but this is gonna
He
sound,
also liked the idea that he was rescuing her from single motherhood.
yeah. But I would think the perfect family, the stereotypical perfect family, would be a nuclear family, not a step parent. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a ready-made family. He doesn't have to do much. Like, so,
Yeah.
and she also has a teenage daughter who's gonna be off to college soon, so
But I thought they had been together for some years.
yeah, like 3 years. So she's still,
It was just 3 years.
yeah.
See, I took it as like the they had been together since like the girl was a baby.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Well, then that changes things. So, mm, okay. Well, never mind then. Cause that's what I took it as. Like, he was like a step parent that practically raised her.
No, no. Uh-uh.
Hmm. Okay.
But yeah. But ended up making like $291.4 million, which
Hmm.
is okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it definitely had mixed reviews. Um, but
Yeah.
I
I saw
really
that.
enjoyed it.
I saw it had mixed reviews, but yeah. I just. Hmm. I mean, it was cool. It was entertaining. It kept my attention.
Yeah. So
You
let's
know,
go
I
to our
do.
oh, you
Yeah,
do
I
it?
do remember hearing. I do remember the movie, but I just never saw it. So
Yeah. Let's do our rating scale.
sure. So our rating scale is as follows. We have one movie real trash AF, two it exists, three entertaining, four great, five a true classic. Maria, what say you?
I say 3. I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it's very entertaining, engaging, it keeps you guessing. I
Mm-hmm.
think, Michelle Pfeiffer has a really great performance in this movie, so I'm
Yes.
gonna give it a 3.
Um, Same. I give it a three as well. It is entertaining. It does keep you entertained.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's worth a rewatch because once you learn what's really going on, you can go back and see it with new eyes.
Hmm. Yeah. Can you see them redoing this 24 years later? I can't believe
Absolutely. I know, right?
it. That is wild.
Again, I can definitely see this as, like, a one series show for sure.
A series? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can give you that one.
Because then you can get, of course, more into the characters and stuff like that.
Yeah. 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 And probably let us know that none of this was a fluke. He probably planned this from the jump.
Oh, yeah, because, like, also while they're arguing, I didn't bring this up, she talks about, playing the cello and everything and how she quit because of him, and he's
Hmm.
like, "You wanted to quit," and she's like, "No." So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Right. So yeah, so that is 2000s What Lies Beneath. Next episode, we are going to do a low down dirty shame.
Oh, okay.
Shame. Low down.
Hello, down dirty I remember the song.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on Sling. So yeah.
I don't
And
have Sling, so
yeah. Well, it allows you to
we'll
do it
work
for
it.
free because I just got it today.
Oh, okay, great. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. You can watch it for free on Sling. So Um, and not to mention I have it on DVD. I've been watching this movie since I was a kid. So
Yeah.
another one of those movies where maybe should have waited until I was an appropriate age. But
You
we're
turned
not
out
gonna
alright.
dwell on that. Yeah.
Yeah. You turned it out right, it's
Right. Thanks.
alright.
Yeah. I remember one time I was quoting some lines from this movie at work, and my supervisor just laughed at me and was like, "Get back to work, Lindsay."
I love it.
So yeah, it's a good movie starring Keenan Ivory Wayans
Mhm.
and um, Jada Pickett and Sally Richardson. So,
Yes. Alright,
so
I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, yeah, me too. So where can we find you?
You can find me online pretty much anywhere, and if I'm there, you'll find me at Valor More Dollars. That's VALERMOR dollars. I'm also on another podcast called Nerdgasm Noir, where it's 6 Black ladies talking about geek, tech, media, all that good stuff. So you can join us there as well. And where can they find you, Lindsay?
You can find me everywhere at L_Renell. That's L_RANELLE. And also on my other podcast with me and my cousin, Lily. And that podcast is called The Ish We Talk.
Which I talk about this week.
We we talked about how this girl, her name is Stunner Girl, she sampled Sierra's Goodies.
Yeah, did she say something about Sierra?
Oh yes, she did.
Mhm.
Yes, she
Call her
did.
old or something?
She said a lot of stupid things about Sierra. But she's mad because she sampled the song and didn't get permission. And so Sierra snatched it off the internet.
Yeah.
But the song is trash because you can never just completely erase stuff from the internet. So people did get excuse me, people did get like snippets of the song, and they weren't even creative with the beat. They just jacked the beat and just increased the bass on the beat. That's all.
Wow. She's
But
lucky that's all she did was yank it.
That's what I said. I'm like, it could have been worse. But the song completely goes against everything that Goodies represents. Because Goodies is talking about not having sex.
Right.
She's talking about what she can do with a man's member. So
Right. Yeah.
uh, the song is called Stand Up. So just use your imagination on what she's
Mm,
talking about.
okay.
I'm like, no, like even if you were to have tried to get permission, it would have been denied. What are
Yeah,
you
not for
doing?
this interpolation. No.
What are we doing? Like, huh? So yeah, we talked about that amongst other
All right.
things. So yeah,
All right. Well, we'll be happy to join you guys again next time.
yes,
Yes, for a low down dirty shame.
yes, yes. So that is episode 47 of Roomies Review the Movies, and we will see you guys on episode 48. Bye.
Bye.